In this Torah portion, Shemot, we are going to find out the beginning of the enslavement of the children of Israel in Egypt, the beginning of the book of Exodus. And one of the first decrees that Pharaoh issues to subjugate the Jewish people, the children of Israel, is to throw to the river, to the Nile, all the baby boys. And before he issues this decree, he goes to the two midwives. The Torah uses the expression "Meyaldot ha'ivriot," and the names of these midwives are Shifra and Pua. Because the Hebrew is a very funny, interesting language, it's difficult to know if Meyaldot ha'ivriot means the Jewish midwives or the Hebrew midwives, or the midwives of the Hebrews. In other words, were these two midwives Israelites, were part of the children of Israel, or were Egyptian midwives that were in charge of delivering the Jewish babies? The commentators debate this question. Rashi and the Talmud, they suggest that Shifra and Pua actually were Miriam, the mother of Moses, the sister of Moses, and Yocheved, Moses' mother. They give this identity to the two midwives. They say that is why they showed this love and this devotion. Of course they were Jewish, of course they care for the Jewish children, and that is why they disobeyed Pharaoh's order. They read Meyaldot ha'ivriot as the Jewish or the Hebrew midwives. Nechama Leibowitz, which I would like to encourage you to learn a little about her. I have her book here. It's called Commentaries on the Torah portion in Hebrew and in Spanish. I have the English one at my home. Sylvia and I studied with her in Israel before she passed away. This is her signature. She signed my Spanish translation, the translation of her book in Spanish, Reflections on the Torah portion. We were blessed to study with her, and in her commentary on this particular portion, she asked the same question: what was the identity of the midwives? And she brings this following interesting opinion from other commentators. And she says, of course, they could not be Jewish midwives. Why would Pharaoh tell Jewish midwives to harm their own babies or the babies of the Israel people, of the people of Israel? And she sees in this case of the midwives of Shifra and Pua, she looks at them, following some of the classic commentators, as a first case of civil disobedience. These were Egyptian midwives, they were not Jewish, and they saw that what Pharaoh wanted to do was wrong, and they went against Pharaoh, even risking their positions and their lives. It's interesting to think which way can we or we will take in this debate about Shifra and Pua. We certainly found out that, especially in the Holocaust, that the Nazis did use Jewish people to issue decrees against the Jews themselves, and this was a strategy, a tactic that they used to subjugate our people. So we could conceive the idea that Pharaoh approached Miriam and Yocheved, two Jewish midwives, and asked them or requested or forced them to kill the Jewish babies. But what I am interested in discussing with you briefly is why the rabbis, why Rashi, why the classic commentators couldn't imagine Egyptian midwives saving Jewish children. And I like to suggest that they lived in a time, they lived in a context in which the Jews were oppressed by their neighbors, and they could not imagine someone who was not Jewish caring for a Jew. For them, the world was divided between Jews and non-Jews. We who care for ourselves, and only we care for ourselves, and the rest of the world that hates us and wants to destroy us. And in this way of looking at the world, the Egyptians, every single Egyptian is evil, and only the Jews will care for other Jews. Comes Nechama Leibowitz with a more optimistic view of the world, and quoting commentators who lived in a time in which this optimism was part of the life of the Jewish people, of the environment, of the culture of the Jewish people, and comes and teaches us, Nechama Leibowitz, that there can be good people in every single group of human beings, that being good, that being honest, that being decent, that caring for another human being is not something that can be found only within the Jewish people. And therefore she sustains that Shifra and Pua were Egyptians, that these were two caring women that were Egyptians, that Pharaoh wanted them because they were Egyptians to kill all the Jewish babies, the baby boys, and they said no. This is a case of what we call righteous Gentiles, people who are good, who are not part of our people, but that doesn't take from them the merit of being kind, of being caring, of being compassionate. Of course, the reader can go with either option when we read these verses in the Torah. I like to share with you my personal opinion, and then of course leave you with your own reading of the verses, that I like to see, like Nechama Leibowitz, the fact that Shifra and Pua were Egyptians. I like to believe in a world in which we can care for each other despite the fact that the other doesn't belong to my same group, to my same religion, to the same nationality, to the same ethnicity. I also like to believe in the world in which we can find good, and I am afraid to say bad people, in every single group of human beings. And hopefully we'll be able to hope for the best in each other, and because we hope for the best in each other, we are going to get the best of each other at the end of the day. Shabbat Shalom.